Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wilding in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
Vinci.
Yeah, they just wanna see me in the grave. Come out the law in the rave. Oh no, I can't wait. You can read what you sow in the day. I was down, now I'm up to the plate. Got a couple hits, cause you know I can't play. We gon' win it no matter what the shirt. Got the stick, we gon' bring it out the shirt. I was down below the commas. I put dollars on my head like I don't wanna. Yeah, I'm proud of what I did, I'm gonna come up. Yeah, you left me on red, so don't try to run. Want no smoke, then come in peace. Flow so foreign overseas. Got them praying, they like please. They want cheddar, not no cheese. Undefined, they don't get it, it's amazing. I was down bad in the basement. I would pray to God for a placement. I was never patient, I was always racing. Got me on the drive, that's a flagrant. Little boy, tell me what you chasing. We gotta do better, gotta be clever, gotta love more, that's a statement. Yeah, they just wanna see me in the grave. Come out the law in the rave. Oh no, I can't wait. You can read what you sow in the day. I was down, now I'm up to the plate. Got a couple hits, cause you know I can't play. We gon' win it no matter what the shirt. Got the stick, we gon' bring it out the shirt.
It's silver step, yeah, I was just inside the grave. When I resurrected in like 3 whole days. Shut up on my car, I had to sneak the A's. Somebody take a tenant because we the way. Walk around the house, got drip on anyway. They gon' eat it up like it's a dinner date. Seen a Lambo, claimed it on the interstate. Fame is nothing when it's Jesus in the stage. On the front and silver, it's the game. I feel my calendar, I'm losing track of all the days. Call me water boy, and I was giving lemonade. I was sitting on the bench, they had to put me in the game. I be from the data, they said ice is in my veins. Got a shit of guts, but I'll never be ashamed. Pushing on the birthday when I know it's gonna be great. It's still they celebrate you when your family gon' hate.
They just wanna see me in the grave. Come out the law in the rave. Oh no, I can't wait. You can read what you sow in the day. I was down, now I'm up to the plate. Got a couple hits, cause you know I can't play. We gon' win it no matter what the shirt. Got the stick, we gon' bring it in. I'm back like I never left. They just treating every song like another check. I'm pulling up to every court and I'm calling next. They try to end me, now I'm stopping my foot on their neck. You'll be surprised what they do for attention. God looks into your heart and intentions. I see you judging in all of my mentions. I'm out the grave, I thank God for redemption. Now I'm taking it a step at a time. My future is bright like I turned on the lights. It's crazy how I see them right through the blind. I used to explain how I'm catching these flights. Don't hit my DMs with arrogance. I gotta do it with excellence. I'm reaching the needy, it's evident. And they still in the room with the elephant. Wow. Yeah, they just wanna see me in the grave. Come out the law in the rave. Oh no, I can't wait. You can read what you sow in the day. I was down, now I'm up to the plate. Got a couple hits, cause you know I can't play. We gon' win it no matter what the shirt. Got the stick, we gon' bring it out the shirt.
Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
What's up, Kings fans? Welcome back to another Royal Rebounds podcast with Calvin and Barry. We are here live discussing the unfortunate loss to the Suns tonight. Kings lose 109-104. What a game it was. There was a point in this game where I wanted to turn the TV off. I thought that I wasn't going to watch ESPN or anything else for the entire rest of the evening, and I almost canceled this podcast. And the Kings come storming back in the fourth quarter just to rip my heart out again. Calvin, first thoughts on the game.
Man, it was a wild up and down night. I agree with you. There was a moment. I got to be a little honest. My Bears were playing on Monday Night Football tonight, another heartbreaking loss. But in that third quarter, when the Kings looked like they were folding like lawn chairs, I stepped away and I just watched the Bears game instead. So I started off with that crushing loss. Then I came back into the fourth quarter, realizing that the Kings actually still had a chance, only to be let down again. But, you know, this was a tough one, man. The Kings just did not put together a full game, full 48 minutes like we've seen before. Again, they had the resiliency to come back down 24 in the second half, still made a game out of it. So there is a slight positive to take away from this one. De'Aaron Fox, will get into it. I know people are going to destroy him for missing 2 free throws at the end there because that's all that Kings fans seem to want to do with De'Aaron Fox, but I thought he played fantastic tonight. And the bench, for the first time this season, got outplayed. That was a big part of the game. Obviously, the turnovers, which we'll get into, it was just a roller coaster of a game. They had a chance at the end. That charge call on Harrison Barnes was a big momentum breaker. I'll be honest, it was the right call. That was a charge.
Yep.
So really, really unfortunate situation there for Sacramento after they had put together that huge run. What was it, 20-4, 22-4, or something like that?
Yeah,
but
it was
Kings
a
come up
huge
short.
run. 18-4 run by the Kings to make it a 9-point game. And then they continued after that. It was a tough loss, but I have to say, the second night of a back-to-back, playing against a good Phoenix team. I know we beat them earlier in the season. No Tyrese Haliburton tonight. He had a sore back. No DeAndre Ayton tonight either. The Sacramento Kings just couldn't pull it off. And interesting, Buddy Hield started tonight in his place. I saw Terrence Davis making some threes tonight. But it was a tough loss. I think Rashawn Holmes underperformed or was just tired or beat up in this game playing against JaVale McGee. It was a really, really, really tough loss. My heart, I know I said in the last game that I almost had a heart attack watching the game, but this game, it was all over the place. I was angry, I was happy, I was sad, I was mad. Like, I went through all the emotions all the way through the game. Always smile in the sun. I agree with you. After De'Aaron Fox missed those 2 free throws late in the game, I was like, man, this guy just can't catch a break. I could already hear the fans coming in, the comments about De'Aaron Fox. We heard the fans booing in the third quarter, just booing this team. Yeah. And, you know, I get it. They played horrible. That was their worst quarter of basketball this entire season. Only 12 points.
Absolutely.
And yet they come back and they only allow 11 points. They only allowed really 9 points until that intentional foul on Chris Paul late in the game, and he makes those 2 free throws to seal it. But it was a deflating loss for the Sacramento Kings. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome to Royal Rebounds TV. We are live discussing the Sacramento Kings loss to the Phoenix Suns tonight. We'd love to have you here if you're a Kings fan. Make sure you hit that like button down below. If you'd like to join the Royal family with Calvin and I, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We love putting out fresh Kings content. We're almost live after every single game. We have an ESPN-style show every Friday where we talk about everything Kings basketball. Oh, man, what a game. Kyle, you want to jump here into the box scores?
Yeah, let's do it. So we're looking at the Kings here. First of all, Harrison Barnes led all scorers with 26 points tonight. He only attempted 9 field goals, but was 11 of 11 at the free throw line. 6 rebounds. The big no-no for him tonight, 6 turnovers, a season high. De'Aaron Fox, 24 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks, but 5 turnovers as well. 7 of 11 at the free throw line. Buddy Hield struggled shooting tonight, 3 of 11 from 3, 14 points. And Terrence Davis, really unfortunate to see him exit there with that rolled ankle because he finally was back or got his groove back offensively. 13 points off the bench in 26 minutes, 3 of 6 from 3, which was the really encouraging sign. And Davion Mitchell, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists off the bench. If we scroll up here to the Suns, sorry about that. Devin Booker and Chris Paul, 18 points, 16 points, respectively. The backbreaker here, Cameron Payne, led all Suns scorers with 24 points off the bench, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He was 4 of 6 from 3. He killed the Kings tonight, absolutely killed them. They had no answer for him. Cover your kids' eyes at home when he shoots the ball. It's pretty ugly, but it goes in, man. It's effective. He's a very scrappy player, always has his foot on the gas pedal. He plays at a million miles an hour with a lot of intensity, a lot of effort. But he just broke their backs. You know, Chris Paul had a great start to the game. He was hitting shots. That is a huge telling sign. You know, we talked about it coming into this game after our last podcast. They really had to limit his effectiveness offensively. If he's going to have 13 assists, but only, 8 or 9 points, something like that you live with maybe at the end of the day. But when he's scoring and assisting, the Suns are almost impossible to beat.
Yeah, I think Mikal Bridges played great for Phoenix tonight. Only 16 points, and I say that because, you look at a lot of guys on the Kings, they scored a lot more than 16, but he played huge for them. 2 steals, 2 blocks tonight. I was surprised looking at the box score that's all he had, 2 steals, 2 blocks, because he seemed like he was all over the court tonight. He was just everywhere, doing everything. Great game for Mikal Bridges. But enough love for the Phoenix Suns. Your Sacramento Kings, it was a tough loss for them. Not having Tyrese Haliburton forced a little bit more on Davion Mitchell. He picked up his 3rd foul in the second quarter on Chris Paul. We know that Chris Paul has been mentoring Davion in the offseason, teaching him his moves, but he did not hold back on him tonight. He was pulling all his veteran moves out of his bag. Mark Jones. Was happy to have him tonight. But he was pulling all his veteran moves out of his bag, and he was getting fouls on people, which is surprising because Phoenix didn't shoot a lot of free throws tonight, but they did get a lot of guys in foul trouble, including Davion Mitchell.
They did. Yeah, that 3rd foul in the first half was really critical. We truly saw the test tonight of the Kings' depth because they started off down a man with Tyrese not playing. I don't know what happened to Rashawn Holmes, but he wasn't on the floor late. We got to see Metu, Damian Jones, Terrence Davis. They all had to come in and step up and play big, and they all did. I mean, those guys were all huge instrumental pieces in that big comeback in the 4th quarter. So that was a positive sign for sure to see.
Yeah, and unfortunately, late in the game, it felt like the Kings were making strides to come back in this game. They had a couple opportunities. There was a play where Chris Paul was almost halfway at half court. There was like 5 seconds left on the shot clock. Kings force a bad shot from him, and the Suns get the rebound. Same old story from last year.
Yep.
But, the Kings actually out-rebounded the Suns in this game, 46-38. That's very rare. 8 more rebounds for your Sacramento Kings, but it's the timing of those rebounds that really matter.
Definitely. And turnovers. I mean, that's where the Kings lost this game, is turnovers. They came out and just, like you said, they put together their worst quarter that they've played all season long. 24 turnovers, which resulted in 38 points for the Phoenix Suns.
Yep.
That's a backbreaker. It's the fact that they were even in a position to win this game, giving up 38 points off turnovers, is remarkable in itself.
Yep. They held Phoenix to only 11 points in the 4th quarter, which is a positive thing for the Sacramento Kings. Should only be 9 without those Chris Paul at the end. The Kings had a chance to tie this game, down 3. Unfortunately, they turn it over. The inbound to Metu, he fumbles the ball. It was good to see Metu tonight, 19 minutes for him. I saw a couple big plays for him, a couple good defensive plays, some rebounds. He didn't shoot well, only 1 for 5 tonight from the field, missing both of his 3-pointers. But we got to see Metu tonight. We got to see Jones. Amazing putback for Jones off of the miss from De'Aaron Fox. We got to see Jahmias Ramsey tonight. First game since he was called up from the Stockton Kings. Huge for him. No Tristan Thompson tonight. And also, no Marvin Bagley.
Yeah.
I think I saw one clip of him on the bench congratulating the Kings for getting close in this game. But that's about it.
He's really not on this team anymore.
I'm surprised they even let him come to the games. Honestly, why?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of the two. You're surprised that he shows up, or you're surprised that they allow him to come to the game. But they put together a great 4th quarter. Damian Jones and Chimezie Metu were really active defensively. that was why they went on that huge run. The Suns were moving the ball. You know, it was not sticking in anybody's hands. It wasn't like Chris Paul and Devin Booker were just going one-on-one, nonstop, trying to take tough shots. They were moving the ball around, and the Kings were rotating really well. They contested on a lot of threes, and they, despite giving up offensive rebounds, they were able to get out and contest again the second opportunity. So, you know, it's just a matter of having to play like that the whole game. You can't get these slow starts. Starting the first quarter and the third quarter slow like that, it just makes you have to play pretty much a perfect game from then on out. Because you put yourself in such a hole. And we saw that, you know, they did play almost a perfect fourth quarter, despite a charge call that could have gone the other way, couple missed free throws, and a turnover there at the end when Metu was wide open under the basket. You know, you just, when you come out and you dig yourself that much a hole, you don't have enough margin for error to make up for those plays late.
And, you know, De'Aaron Fox almost got bailed out missing those 2 free throws because
he did.
And Devin Booker
missed 2 right
goes
after that.
and misses 2 right on the other side of the court. And, you know, I don't want to take anything away from De'Aaron Fox because I agree with you. He had a phenomenal game tonight. 12 points for him in the fourth quarter. He single-handedly outscored Phoenix in the fourth quarter. I love seeing his aggressiveness. Even in the second quarter, I saw him driving to the basket. I saw him hit a 3. I saw him getting some and ones. He seemed like his normal self. But I want to talk about this third quarter. Only 12 points for the Kings in the third quarter. I heard Katie on the commentating tonight, and she said, it's okay to have a lapse in offensive production once in a while, but you can't have a lapse in offensive and defensive production at the same time. And that's what the Kings did in this game. You can't allow 31 points in a quarter. 31 points in a quarter is bad by itself. But when you allow 31 points in a quarter and you only score 12 points in a quarter, that is huge. I'm surprised the Kings were even within 10 or 20 points towards the end of the game having that kind of quarter. First off, they started off just missing shots. I don't think they made their first bucket until like 7 minutes left in the third quarter. And, you know, they're taking shots. They're missing them. So then they start passing the ball around, and then it's turnover. So then they're like, okay, well, I'm going to take it upon myself. They stop passing the ball. No ball movement at all. Everyone's trying to play hero ball, and they're just driving to the basket and turning the ball over again. And it's just like compiling everything on top of itself. Horrible third quarter.
Yeah, it was awful. It was awful. And they just weren't strong or secure with the ball at all. I mean, we've seen them go through these phases where it's lazy pass early on in the offense, you know, sometimes right around or before they even cross half court. Just a pass that you can see is not there to begin with. But a lot of these turnovers were, like you said, driving to the basket and just not being strong with the ball. I mean, when Harrison Barnes is driving to the basket and getting stripped easily, you know something's wrong because he's normally really secure with the basketball, holds on to it real tight. They were just getting anything they wanted. I mean, they were taking all the cookies out of the cookie jar tonight every time someone had the ball driving to the basket. A couple of travels as well, which are huge. I mean, they
or as Mark Jones says, they took his cornbread.
They took his cornbread, yeah. And, you know, you talked about, I thought Katie Christensen Hunter called a great game tonight. She made a lot of really, really good points, like what you said earlier. But I also heard her say, Monty Williams was talking before this game about how the Kings have earned Phoenix's respect now. This was not a team that Phoenix was going to come in and take lightly, a game that they were going to come in and take lightly. They knew after the last game they had to bring their A game, and you saw that right from the beginning. They came out and they knew they had to apply the pressure early on. So they did it in the first half. They started hitting a bunch of threes. They got in a rhythm, and they continued that. They went into the locker room, and they said, this game's only a 3-point game. We got to come out and show these guys why we're the Western Conference champs. And, man, did they do it.
14-0 run.
They absolutely did it. So, yes, that's a good thing that the Kings are starting to earn respect from some of the league's best teams, and they're not the picture painted around Sacramento is that they're not a pushover anymore. This team's getting better. They deserve more respect. However, with that comes a lot more responsibility. You have to come into these games ready to play now. And you have to come out of the locker room in a big game like this against one of the league's best teams, ready to go. And they just did not.
Guys, the Boston Celtics are not trading Jaylen Brown. I'm sorry. They're not trading him to Sacramento. They're not trading him to Philadelphia. It's not going to happen.
Maybe in 2K, but not in real life.
Not in real life. So I want to talk a little bit about Harrison Barnes. 36 minutes from him tonight. He almost played the entire game. He posted a plus-minus of -12, which you'd expect when you play most of the game and you end up
down by 24.
Exactly. 26 points from him. I love the aggressiveness. 11 for 11 from the free throw line. Only 9 shots, which that number is a little skewed when you get to the free throw line that many times. Only 2 threes tonight. 1 of 2 from three-point range, which is really surprising to me considering we've talked about Luke Walton wanting him to shoot at least 8 threes a game. You'd think he would get a little bit more. But only 6 rebounds for him tonight, which is surprising that the Kings out-rebounded the Phoenix Suns when nobody on the Kings was double digits in rebounds. But the thing that really disappointed me tonight about Harrison Barnes, and I don't say this very often, is 6 turnovers. And that's kind of what you were talking about. He's driving to the basket hard. He's getting the ball stripped. That doesn't happen very often with Harrison Barnes.
No. They were clean strips, man. I mean, it's not like we're sitting here saying, the refs are costing them the game here because they're all over the Kings' arms every time they try to go to the ball. They were just careless with the basketball all around. I mean, Harrison Barnes, he still ended up playing a good game, and he's had a great season. This is now a couple games in a row, or maybe 3 games in a row. I'd have to go back and look, but that he's attempted under 10 field goal attempts for the game. That I don't like. I want him to shoot more than 10 field goal attempts. If he's going to be taking 8 threes a game, you better be getting 10 field goal attempts or more.
And you're 7-9. Keep giving him the ball.
I don't understand it really. I mean,
keep feeding him the ball.
I know Buddy Hield has been on a pretty hot streak. He's been shooting really well the past 2 or 3 games. And he's going to get his shot attempts up, but I feel like if you're struggling, you got to go to your mainstays, your go-to guys. And no one on the team had a good third quarter. I get that. They just couldn't do anything. But in the fourth quarter, De'Aaron Fox definitely took assumed the role and put the guys on his back a little bit. And he played fantastic. But I still would like to see more field goal attempts from Harrison Barnes.
There's 4 Kings tonight that had more field goal attempts than Harrison Barnes, which is crazy because we talk about how Harrison Barnes is the consistent guy on this team. He's the guy that you're having a bad third quarter, you give the ball to Harrison Barnes and you let him make a play. You let him do something to stop the bleeding. Crazy. So crazy to me. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Mo Harkless. Only 12 minutes tonight for Mo. Didn't take a single shot. 1 rebound, 1 turnover, 0 fouls, 0 points. What the hell are we getting out of Mo Harkless? And why is he still starting?
I don't know, man. Well, he's still starting because, A, they don't have a better option at power forward right now. I mean, you can argue Metu maybe, but Metu really just, as much as you like the potential with him, he hasn't done enough to have earned that role. And they're starting Harkless because he is supposed to be a good corner 3 shooter. And his length defensively, his ability to guard anywhere from 1 to 4 seamlessly and switch and be the guy that they can say, okay, your assignment tonight is this individual. We want you to take them out of their rhythm offensively, and then we'll work you into the offense, get you some open looks from 3. That's why he's starting. He just really isn't playing very well right now.
Yeah, it's tough. Charlie, yes, we are giving De'Aaron Fox a cookie for scoring 12 points in the fourth quarter. He had a great game tonight. 3 steals, 3 blocks. That block that he had late in the game was pretty incredible.
You guys are hating on him.
24 points for him. I know he had 5 turnovers, and we've talked about he needs to cut down on the turnovers. But he's 1 for 1 from three-point range. I know 7-11 from the free throw line doesn't sound that great, but he had 7 in a row. He was aggressive. He's getting better. Like, what do you want from De'Aaron Fox?
We all want him to hit both of those free throws at the end. We all want that. First of all, that doesn't guarantee them to win, by the way, even if he makes both of those free throws. They may still end up losing the game. But he was, in my opinion, he was by far and away the best player for the Kings tonight.
Yep.
By far and away.
Some guy 09 says, "Can we give Harkless a cookie for scoring as much as me?"
No cookies. No Kings player deserves a cookie after this game. Let's just be real clear about that.
Oh, man, that's funny. Sass says, "I don't think Buddy scored in the second half." I don't remember seeing him score in the second half either. He went cold.
He definitely went very,
watching
very
the
cold.
first half, he was lighting it up. Seemed like every shot he was taking was going in.
Both teams started really hot.
The Kings were shooting like 64% from three-point range at one time, and then it just off.
Yeah.
Right?
They came out of the locker room, and the Suns were on a mission. The Kings were not. They just were not ready to match the energy level and the physicality.
Yeah, and, part of that is it's the second night of a back-to-back. You just played a game yesterday. You're playing another game. You're playing against a good Phoenix team. People keep forgetting this team was in the finals last year. They were in the finals for a reason. Chris Paul is one of the best point guards of all time. He has a big imprint on this team and on this game. But there are some positives we can take. 12 points for Davion Mitchell. Bounce back game for him. Only 2 points in the last game. Terrence Davis is back. Unfortunately, he rolled the ankle and went to the locker room. We hope he'll be back soon, but 13 points for him, 3 of 6. De'Aaron Fox had a good game. Harrison Barnes had a good game. I know this is not a victory, but you're not going to win them all, and there are some positives that you can take from this game. And I'm surprised that I'm saying these things because after the third quarter, I was livid. I was pissed. I didn't even want to do this podcast. I was like, okay, we're doing a 10-minute podcast and it's over because I don't even want to talk about this. I was so angry. Watching the fourth quarter reminded me of these comeback Kings. It gave me some hope, and then they took it away.
They did. Yeah, they didn't. They just didn't do enough to win this game. And to be honest, they shouldn't have been in a position to win this game. They played great defense in the fourth quarter. They hit some shots, and they made a good comeback. I think Phoenix played a little bit into their hands. I'm not quite sure what happened there in that fourth quarter. Certainly they did everything they needed to do while Chris Paul and Devin Booker were on the bench there towards the end of the third and beginning of the fourth. Mm-hmm. And, I do want to give – I find myself saying this a lot. I'm kind of surprised, but I want to give a lot of credit to Luke Walton. Because I kept thinking in the fourth quarter as they start to come back, they're all of a sudden they're down 15, then they're down 13, then they're down 9. And I'm like, why hasn't he put Rashawn Holmes back in the game? I don't understand. But he stuck with Jones and Metu. And those guys, their effort defensively, again, it's not going to show up in the box score.
Yep.
But that whole unit, Mitchell, Fox, Barnes, Metu, and Jones, they put together some awesome defensive possessions, and that was the reason that they were in a position to win this game. So I give a lot of credit to Luke Walton for sticking with those guys.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of pain in the comments, and I definitely feel your guys' pain. This was a rough one to watch, and it's very disappointing seeing your team go through stretches like this. Losing last night, losing again tonight, watching some of your best players or guys that you thought were franchise players that were maybe going to be an all-star this year. Maybe, they were going to take the next step this year, just got a new contract. They were going to be the man, and watching them struggle is very, very difficult. But we just got to be patient, and we got to move on. You know, the Kings are one game below 500 at this point. The season is not over. The sky is not falling. You know, there's a lot
from it.
There's a lot to build off of from this. And yeah, I mean, the Kings haven't made the playoffs in half my life. So there's a lot of pain there for everybody. So we all got to stick together. You guys need to hit that like button. Calvin and I will still be here. We'll still be putting out content for you guys, and we'll be rooting the Kings on. I know we can make the playoffs. I hope it's going to be this year, but it will be soon. You know, I want to talk about some things I talked about last night, just some positives. If you guys watched last night's podcast, this might be a little repetitive, but I want to remain positive, and I want you guys to look at, you know, the other side here. This is a new Kings team. There's no bad contracts on this squad. People talk about Buddy and Barnes and their contracts, but they were both front-loaded, meaning every year after this, you know, it drops, and they've both been playing pretty well. Harrison Barnes had a really hot start to this season. He's been playing great. Buddy Hield is in the 6-man race. Love what I'm seeing from him defensively. The team has been drafting well. They've hit on both of these last draft picks. If we end up missing the playoffs this year and get another lottery pick, I'm confident that they will make the right decision again. They have all their draft picks. In the past, we ended up trading away draft picks just to get rid of bad contracts when we overpaid guys to come to Sacramento. Those days are over. We're not dealing with that stuff anymore. We have a competent front office. There's consistency in that front office. There's consistency in this coaching staff. They've been here for a while, and they're building on things. So these are all positives for us Kings fans. We're digging our way out of this big hole, but it doesn't happen overnight. They're not letting players bully the team anymore. There's no bad attitudes like a DeMarcus Cousins. As much as I love Boogie and watching him, I thought he was the best center in the NBA. There was some things that I didn't like about him, and he seemed to have control of this team, more control than any one player should have. And I don't see that anymore. And the last thing is there's no leaks on this team. You know, we heard about Marvin Bagley's dad and his agent, but we don't hear much from the front office. We don't hear about conflicts inside the front office, inside the coaching staff. They're keeping all that internally. They're all on the same page. They're all working together. So I just want you guys to kind of look at this as a bad game. You got to move on. Everybody has bad games. I'm just happy that this Kings team is in the right direction.
Michael Love, I'm laughing at you. Trade De'Aaron Fox for Cameron Payne.
That's funny. So anyways, to everybody that's joining in just now, welcome to Royal Rebounds TV, your favorite Sacramento Kings YouTube channel. We're here live, Calvin and Barry, breaking down the Sacramento Kings unfortunate loss to the Phoenix Suns tonight. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you're a Kings fan. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to join the Royal family. Calvin and I put out fresh content all the time. We're all Sacramento Kings all the time. So we'd love to have you here on the channel. And we also don't want to silence anybody either. So make sure you guys hit up that chat. Make sure you guys hit up the comments down below. We want your voices to be heard. We want every King to feel like they're part of the Royal family with us. Right, Cal?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, so I know we don't usually do this during a loss, but I want to talk about your player of the game. And this is excluding all Phoenix Suns players.
Yes, it is.
This is the king of the game.
Yeah, Cameron Payne would probably be player of the game, but I'm almost expecting to take some heat for this, but De'Aaron Fox is the player of the game for me.
Okay.
I don't see how you could not. Yes, 5 turnovers and 2 missed free throws at the end are what everyone will remember. And when you are the team's best player, you know, that's what the expectation is, that you come up clutch. And he did not come up clutch in terms of winning the game, but his night was phenomenal. 3 steals, 3 blocks. He played wonderful defense from start to finish in this game.
Yep.
Even when his shot wasn't falling, when he was turning the ball over, he still played phenomenal defense all night long. He was on a guarding multiple guys. He had Devin Booker for most of the night. I saw him on Chris Paul a lot as well.
Yep.
So he was really, really active and really, really good. You could see that the focus was there. 7 of 11 at the free throw line, 12 points in the fourth quarter. You helped bring them back, got them into the game again. He's definitely my player of the game.
One thing I really like about De'Aaron Fox is I don't see him complaining a lot.
Very little.
Every once in a while you see him get hit going to the basket and he'll look back at the refs and do this. Mm-hmm. But he gets back. He doesn't stop and talk to the refs. He doesn't get technical fouls for complaining to the refs about calls. We saw that tonight. Chris Paul, another technical foul for him. This is the guy that used to be the head of the Players Association. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Chris Paul fan. I think that he's one of the best point guards of all time. When the Kings had a chance to trade for him, I wanted him on this team. I thought that he could help this team. If you take anybody in the entire NBA, maybe subtract LeBron James for this. If you want a franchise changer, Chris Paul is that guy. We saw what he did to the Clippers. We saw him have a productive season in Oklahoma City. Unfortunately, they didn't win the championship in Houston. But you guys don't sleep on Chris Paul. And that's another thing you got to remember. De'Aaron Fox is going against a guy like Chris Paul tonight. That is an extremely tough matchup. Extremely tough.
It is. It is. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like we're giving the Kings too many excuses here. You know, they definitely, they clearly did not play well enough to win this game. And the flaws outweigh the good, for sure. For sure. De'Aaron Fox's night, I'm reading here in the comments, 19 shot attempts, 11 free throw attempts, only 24 points. Yeah, you're right about that. It wasn't the most efficient game, for sure, for a guy that is supposed to be an all-star level player, the Kings' best player. But I still like what I've seen from De'Aaron Fox over the past week, I would say. The shots that he is looking to get within the offense, I think, are great shots.
Mm-hmm.
He has not hit them with the efficiency that you would like, but he's taking less threes than he was to start the year.
Yep.
Which I think is very smart. We saw him really finish well through contact tonight, which he was not doing early on in the season. I think he was worried too much about trying to get the foul called and less about trying to finish through the contact. I think he's realized necessarily this is the way the game's being called so far this year. So it's more of when you get to the basket, it's all about focusing on finishing rather than trying to get the foul called and just throw up, a shot attempt. I like his aggressiveness. Again, I think defensively is where, when you're the team's best player, he has the ability or the potential to be their best offensive player and their best defensive player. Yep. We might all love Davion Mitchell and think that he's so great because he is, and he's played really, really great defense. But De'Aaron Fox has potential to be just as good, if not better, than Davion Mitchell defensively. He really showed that tonight with his effort. 3 steals, 3 blocks. I mean, not just effort. He showed it in the stat sheet as well. So I think that De'Aaron Fox is playing his way out of this slump right now. It's coming. We're going to see more consistent games of 25, 26, 27 points. The shooting percentage, it does still need to get better. The turnovers need to be cut down, absolutely. But he wasn't alone in that tonight. De'Aaron Fox did not lose this game by himself, having 5 turnovers and missing 2 free throws at the end.
Yep.
This was a team loss, absolutely, 100%.
And don't forget, no Tyrese Haliburton tonight.
Yeah.
Tyrese had a wonderful game last night. He's having a good season. He's averaging 13 points a game. He's shooting almost 50% from the field. He's shooting 37 from three-point range. He's playing great defense. He's handling the ball a lot. He's taking a lot off of De'Aaron's plate. So you think De'Aaron Fox played with a guy in Mo Harkless who started tonight, 0 points. He played with Buddy Hield, who started out hot, but then he goes 3 for 11 from three-point range. These are not De'Aaron's fault, but they are things that he has to help overcome as a team. And it's tough when you switch guys and you bring guys in and out of the lineup. You have injuries. This is the first game this season where we've actually seen injuries affecting this starting lineup, other than the Harkless hip injury where he missed a game. But I don't really consider that missing a full team. And they missed one of their best players tonight in Tyrese Haliburton. They were down 24 in this game. The fans were booing them. They came all the way back, and they had a shot in this game.
Yes, they did.
I know they didn't pull it out at the end, but, that's how the NBA goes. And when you're playing against one of the best teams in the league, in the Phoenix Suns, they just went to the finals last year. You got to learn. This is a learning lesson here. You got to move on. Speaking of moving on, I want to talk about the Sacramento Kings game on Wednesday night. They finished this home stand, 4 games at home. They split it 2-2. The Kings haven't been very good at home this year. They didn't win a single home game until this homestand. Now they're going back on the road.
Mm-hmm.
They were undefeated on the road before that loss to the Jazz. How are you liking this matchup against the Spurs?
This whole road trip actually is, in my opinion, favorable matchups for the Kings. We talked about it on the Royal Report last week. A lot of these teams are in the bottom half of the league in terms of points allowed per game. The Kings should be able to get up and down the court a lot against these teams and run. We've seen them play well on the road already this season. The Spurs are a much different team this year. They've lost pretty much everyone that you think of for the last 20 years for San Antonio. None of those guys are there anymore.
Yep.
So it's a very, very new and young team. They've got a lot of good athletes and some really good defenders. DeJounte Murray always seems to play really well against Sacramento. I think he gets up for these games against De'Aaron Fox. They're pretty similar players, styles of players, in my opinion. But again, I think it comes down to the bench, particularly in this matchup. The Kings are a much deeper team than San Antonio. They've got guys who are much more polished in the NBA, big-time scorers like Buddy Hield. If Davion Mitchell's able to play well offensively off the bench for them, this should be a win. I mean, we're getting into games now. Tonight is a game where you're going to have to play some of your best basketball in order to win. Phoenix is not a rollover team. I'm not saying San Antonio is a rollover team or even Oklahoma City. We've already seen them come back against the Lakers twice, down 19 and down 26 or whatever that was. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is an amazing player. That's going to be a tough matchup for sure. But that being said, the Kings are a team that we all expect to be in the hunt for the playoffs. Therefore, teams like this, you expect to be on the outside looking in. So these are games that the Kings have got to go and get on the road.
Yeah, 4 road games coming up. These 4 teams have a combined win total of 10.
Yeah.
That's looking pretty good for Sacramento. Charlie, I appreciate you coming out here and watching the channel. You're very active in the chat. I would like to see some positive things from you. Every message from you is negative, man. You have any positive in you? Come on, let's see some positive.
I feel for all Kings fans right now. It's hard to be positive after a game like that.
It is.
They literally ripped your heart out. They gave you a chance.
Yep.
After playing so bad.
If it wasn't for that fourth quarter,
yeah,
I would be a negative Nancy today.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's hard not to be.
I was going to have a disclaimer before the show that was like, by the way, Barry's pissed off. Don't take anything he says seriously. We might end the show quickly. If Barry starts crying, show's over. And then the Kings played.
That would have been fun.
And then the Kings got back in the game. I know they didn't win the game, but are there any moral victories in the NBA?
No, I don't think there are. But there are things that you can use to your advantage moving forward, in terms of a game plan or a strategy type thing. But a lot of this is just, it's fundamental. It's simple. You can't come out of halftime and start like that. You can't be careless with the ball like that. They've got to continue to, when they get in a tough spot, instead of trying to do too much one-on-one, they need to continue to move the ball offensively, run good sets, run real offense, and double down on their defensive effort, which, you know, for the most part this season, I've really been proud of the Kings and enjoyed the level of effort that they've given defensively. Even when they get down big like this, they come together, they find ways to make it difficult for the opposing team to score, and it's helped them get back in the game. We've seen it time and time again.
Yep.
They just have come up on the wrong end or the short end of the stick too many times here early on this year. And a lot of it is not necessarily because they're playing bad defense. It's because they're giving the other team too many opportunities. It's these turnovers. It's points off turnovers. It's not getting out and running enough. You know, and they've also had games where they shot really, really poorly. But tonight they shot 41% from three.
Yep.
For the whole game.
There we go, Charlie. I like to see that. Harrison Barnes is playing like an all-star. Yeah, I think he's playing pretty good. Other than the 6 turnovers tonight, I think Harrison Barnes is playing great this year. I love it. It goes back to what I said about no bad contracts. He's making a lot of money, but he's playing really, really well for this team. I wouldn't get rid of Harrison Barnes.
No, I definitely would not. I mean, unless you're going to bring in another all-star in return.
How are you guys feeling about Ben Simmons? Is anyone still trying to bring Ben Simmons to this team? I don't really know how I feel about Ben Simmons at this point. They just released it today that after getting fined for missing the last game, Ben Simmons has finally met with the mental health expert of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Funny what happens when you get fined, right?
What's going to happen there, man? I feel for Ben because he was obviously the scapegoat of that team last year, which there usually has to be one, unfortunately. But he needs to just set everything aside and do his job as a professional and keep playing. It's tough, man. It's tough when you're a multimillionaire and everyone's been telling you that you're the best thing ever for your whole life. It kind of goes to your head.
Yeah, it does. I just can't get over the fact that Philadelphia, the organization, still wants him to commit and be on the court for them. I mean, over the past 2 to 3 months,
yep,
everything that guy has done, whether it's walk around in practice with a cell phone in his pocket during defensive drills, or saying you're not going to accept mental help from the team doctors until you get fined by the team for doing so.
Yep.
All the comments that he's said personally, like I just, you know, I think about what would happen if he actually stepped on the floor for a Philadelphia home game in like next week.
Oh, he's not playing home games.
He would be treated worse by his home crowd than any other player maybe in professional sports history.
Yep.
And you think a guy who has a fragile mental state is going to handle that well? Like, I just don't. What is Philadelphia doing? Why do they want him so on this team so bad?
And Philadelphia has the best record in the East at 8-3. What does that say about Ben Simmons?
Wild to me. I get it. He is a really, really talented player. And maybe you still think that he's the missing piece or whatever, but man, it just seems like this situation is fractured beyond repair, and it would actually do the Sixers worse if they convinced him to play for them again.
Yeah, Charlie, I agree with you. These new rules is going to be difficult. It's going to make it hard on Ben Simmons getting to the basket, not getting any calls. But
do you want Ben Simmons at the free throw line anyway? Like,
yeah.
You'd almost rather them not call a foul on him.
So the question I have for you, Kyle, is the better the Sixers do with Ben sitting, what does that mean for Ben Simmons? Does that mean that they're lowering the asking price because they're like, hey, we have a chance to do pretty well this year, and Ben is not affecting the win percentage on this team? Do we cut our losses and just let him go for another piece? Because we don't need another star on this team. We don't need another all-star. We just need somebody that's going to help contribute.
In my opinion, every day that Ben Simmons is not at the facility, whether it's practice or playing in games, his trade value is being lowered. Because the last time we saw him play didn't end very well.
Did not end well at all.
And then literally everything he has done since then has had a negative connotation behind it. So the only way, in my opinion, that he raises his trade value is if he has a complete 180 on everything that he's already done. He decides, okay, I am going to accept the help, the help from the doctors. I'm going to take it seriously. I'm going to show up to practice. I'm not going to have my cell phone in my pants. I'm going to actually sweat during practice. And then I'm going to get out there on the court. And he doesn't just have to get out there on the court. He's got to get out there on the court and play like an all-star right away.
Yep.
That's the only way, in my opinion, that another team is going to look at him and be like, okay, we were interested in Ben Simmons because he's Ben Simmons, but now we're really interested because he's showing he's actually playing. I think that scenario is damn near impossible right now.
What's up, Kristen? Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV. I'm glad you subscribed. We love to talk about the Kings. Hope you're a big Kings fan. Make sure you hit that like button. So, do you feel if Ben Simmons, I mean, there's multiple ways he can handle this situation, but if he just says like, oh, no, sorry, I was just bullshitting, I'm totally good mentally.
Yeah,
I
that
just
looks terrible too.
Didn't want to be on the team.
We all, well,
is that better?
I'm going down a road I don't need to go again.
Is that better for him, or is it better saying, you're right, I have some mental problems, let me get the help that I need, and I will be back when I'm ready? Like, what is the best way for him to handle this situation at this point?
The best way for him to handle this situation is to try to do everything that the Sixers want him to do. I mean, how could it not be? You've done everything that you have humanly thought possible that would get yourself traded, and you haven't been traded at this point. Teams have offered deals for you. They've denied every single one of them. He just has to accept the fact that his only way back to the court right now is with Philadelphia. That's the only way back right now.
Yep.
And I'm really not sure that that's what he's going to do.
I want to talk about Buddy Hield a little bit more here. You and I were really, really critical of Buddy last year and early on in this year about his defensive effort, him turning the ball over a lot. We were both advocating for a trade of Buddy Hield. But recently, Buddy's been playing pretty good. And you and I have both been happy with Buddy Hield. I saw somebody in the chat mention trade Buddy Hield while the value's high. Because, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think Buddy Hield's value right now is probably one of the highest it's been. Just broke a 3-point record with the Kings, a franchise record held by Peja. He's been playing really well on the defensive end of the floor, and he's been shooting lights out. Other than this game, he's been shooting pretty well. I saw a trade listed on Pro Sports Daily. Atlanta Hawks receive Buddy Hield. Sacramento Kings receive Gallinari and a 2023 first-round lottery-protected pick from Atlanta. What do you feel about that deal, and how are you feeling about Buddy Hield in general being on this team?
I think Buddy's had a great year so far. He is playing himself into the six-man conversation. The Kings bench has been, like I've said before on this show, the best attribute of the whole team so far this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they're much improved defensively, which is also great. So they re-signed Rashawn Holmes, which is fantastic. Harrison Barnes has started off really, really hot as well. All of those are good things. But the bench and the added depth that this team put together this year is the reason why they've been in all these games, the reason why they continue to make these comebacks that we've seen. And Buddy Hield has a lot to do with that. Yes, The issue with Buddy Hield is that you are still going to have, no matter how well he plays or for how long he plays, eventually it's going to come back to where he has a night like tonight, where he goes 3 of 10, 3 of 12 from 3, something like that. But I wouldn't trade Buddy Hield right now. I think that he is in a very, very good role with this team. That 6-man role, I think, suits him very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
I've been very happy with the effort defensively that he's given. He needs to obviously not turn the ball over as much or in critical situations like he has, but you can say that for just about every player on this team now, not just him. So I wouldn't trade him right now unless I received, some offer that I felt like I just could not pass up.
Funny comment here. Isn't Gallinari like 150 years old? I mean,
he looks pretty good for 150.
I'm not going to take that personally because Gallinari's 10 days older than me. So I guess that makes me 149 and 300.
Or that makes him a vampire or something,
I was a huge Gallinari fan, especially when he was in New York before he got traded from Melo. But yeah, I'm not trading Buddy for Gallinari. That pick doesn't do anything for me. A lottery protected pick from Atlanta in 2023, 2 years from now, is not going to do anything for this Kings team more than what Buddy Hield brings them right now. I got a poll here in the chat for you guys. Keep or trade Buddy Hield. Right now we got 3 votes, 100% keep. I want to hear how you guys feel about Buddy Hield. And also let me know if you'd trade Buddy Hield for Ben Simmons, because that's something that Calvin and I talked about before the season started. But it seems like the more and more we see Buddy Hield play, the more he's committed to this team. He's committed to his role on this team. And I love seeing the combination of him and Davion Mitchell. I feel like there's a couple tandems on this team. You got Tyrese and Richaun Holmes, which I want to talk about that in a little bit here. And then you got Buddy and Davion coming off the bench. And these guys just complement each other wonderfully. So let us know how you feel about Buddy Hield and whether you would want to trade or keep him. I think I am on the keep train at the moment. So let's talk a little bit about Tyrese and Richaun Holmes. No Tyrese tonight. Richaun Holmes struggled. 3 of 8 from the field. 7 points. Only 25 minutes tonight. That leads me to believe that 2-man game was not there without Tyrese Haliburton. Do you think that could have contributed to Richaun Holmes' struggles tonight?
Yeah, maybe a little, but not too much overall, I think. I mean, Richaun had some really, really good looks at the basket that he normally makes. That push shot, I saw it just flat and short a bunch of times tonight. I don't know. Maybe he is, like you said at the top, a little tired. He's been playing a lot of minutes.
Yep.
This is a back-to-back. He just didn't have it tonight for whatever reason. I'm not really sure what the answer is to that, but he just did not have it.
JaVale McGee is a tough matchup.
He is a tough matchup.
I know everyone makes fun of JaVale McGee, and I do as well because he's a goofy-looking guy. But he is huge, and his wingspan is crazy long. Like, if I had to face up against JaVale McGee every night, like, that's got to be frustrating from an offensive standpoint. Defensively, it's he doesn't have a lot of things that he can do. He doesn't have a ton of post moves or anything like that. We saw a couple nice alley-oops to him, which he threw down, which are incredible plays because it's just like half a second, grabs it, dunk, it's over. But having him guard you defensively has got to be tough, especially on a center like Richaun Holmes, who's a little undersized. He benefits with that little push shot, a little bit outside, but having a guy as big as JaVale McGee on you all the time has got to be tough.
Yeah, definitely. And, Richaun is used to going against guys where he's giving up size advantage. That's just how it is in the NBA. He's an undersized center, so that's something I think he's very accustomed to. I just wonder if there was something going on with him physically, which may also have been the reason why we didn't see him come back into the game late when the Kings made their run and actually made it a game. I know I said it before, but I was really stunned to see that Rashawn was not put back into this game at any point.
He posted the worst plus-minus in this game, minus 25.
Yeah.
He was there. That means he was probably there in that third quarter when they went on that huge run.
Yep.
And then he was not involved in the fourth in the comeback.
Yeah. Same with Buddy Hield. He was on the bench for most of that comeback as well until very late when they knew they needed a three, and so he had to be out there. But
so 25 minutes tonight for Rashawn Holmes, 11 minutes for Alex Len. We saw 12 minutes from Jones, 19 minutes from Metu. Kings played small to get back in this game.
They did. They've been playing small all year long, and they went to guys, Alex Len, tough matchup for him tonight, especially when JaVale McGee wasn't playing, because that just asks a lot of Alex Len to guard a smaller guy on the perimeter. And, I give a lot of credit to Damian Jones. I thought he really came in and did exactly what the Kings needed him to do. It kind of makes me wonder whether or not he should get more minutes. It's just that's the question we keep asking with this Kings team, because they've got all these guys who we feel like could do the Kings well if they get in, right? They've got Damian Jones. They've got Metu. They've got Marvin Bagley. They've got Tristan Thompson, Alex Len, all these guys who should be, the guy that's getting the majority of the minutes on any given night. Alex Len has played really, really well. He did not play well tonight.
The thing that really surprised me is normally this Kings team goes small for the offensive benefits, but they only allowed 11 points in that fourth quarter with this small lineup, which is incredible. I don't feel like they would have had that success if DeAndre Ayton was out there. We talked about he had a 20-20 game in the first meeting with them where the Kings end up winning that game. But it's interesting to see how versatile this Kings team is, and that Luke Walton can throw all these different kinds of lineups out there to get what he wants out of this team. And he just seems to keep pressing buttons. It doesn't matter what position this team is in, if they're up, if they're down, if they're tied. He just keeps pressing the buttons, and this team comes back or plays ahead, or they seem to make it close every single game. They just need to have that guy that we talked about before that can get that bucket when you need it at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I was surprised that I didn't see Buddy Hield in a lot of this game late. When the Kings were down 3, we didn't see Buddy Hield until that last play where the turnover for Metu. That was surprising for me.
Yeah, it was a little surprising for me too, but at the same time, I don't think I was that surprised, just because him and Rashawn Holmes, they were struggling early on in this game. They get down huge, and then the guys that come in to replace them end up fueling a huge run, 18 or 20-4, whatever it was. I think it was 20-4 actually, but so you play the hot hand at that point. Buddy Hield, if he was, 6 for 12 from 3 or 7 of 13 or something like that, definitely he comes back into the game way earlier, or maybe even stays out there while they're down big because he's got the hot hand and he's shooting well, and you need threes to get back in this game. But the bottom line is he was not playing well tonight. And Terrence Davis came in and he was playing well. He was shooting well from outside, 50% from 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're Luke Walton, you really almost have nothing to lose at that point, leaving those guys out there. When you see the momentum clicking, you see the defensive possessions, the defensive effort that's there.
Yep.
You just ride that out. And they did. They almost rode it out to a huge comeback win.
That kind of goes back to my point about no players bullying this team anymore. And it's it's exciting seeing Luke Walton have the power to go with whatever lineup he wants. It doesn't matter if you're making $22 million a year like Buddy Hield. If you're not shooting well, I'm going to put somebody else in the game. That's powerful as a team. That's something that I've really admired. You know, you look at a team, I know the Warriors have been great recently, you know, not counting the last 2 seasons due to injury, but they're playing great this year. They had a hell of a run, making all those finals. But the team that I really look at for sustained success would be the San Antonio Spurs. And you look at a coach like Greg Popovich, and the way he runs that team is really every player has to be selfless on that team. And it doesn't matter who you are, what your name is, how popular you are. If you're not playing well, he's going to pull you out of the game, and he's going to put in whoever is playing well. And I love to see that out of this Kings team. I know a lot of fans probably are disappointed to not see a guy like Marvin Bagley on the court, not to see some of these guys that, you know, they pay big money to go to a game to watch this guy play. But as a fan, it makes me feel good to have a coach that's not afraid to bench a player, that's not afraid to, you know, play a guy that's playing better than a star or a good player on your team.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's easy to do that when you're down 24 also, but I agree with that completely.
Yep. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you all for joining us on another Royal Rebounds podcast. We will catch you all Wednesday after the Spurs game. If we don't see you then, we'll see you on Friday for the Royal Report. We're releasing episode 4 Friday morning, so make sure you guys check that. We will talk about the entire week of Kings basketball. We'll talk about a couple players. We're going to have a special interview with a secret guest. We will not release it until Wednesday night, who we're talking to. And we will also talk about the next week of Kings basketball. So we'll see you guys on Wednesday night or Friday, your choice. Any last words, Cal?
Let's all get some rest and forget about tonight. Keep your energy high and your positivity there for this road trip.
Yes.
You know, the Kings come back from this road trip 4-0, and we're all going to be feeling pretty good.
Tough loss tonight, but Calvin's right. We just got to move on. The next game, there's nothing you can do about this game. It's already over. You can just build off of it. You can learn, and you can keep pushing. We'll see you guys all in next time. In the meantime, go Kings.